Ready?
Yes.
What can you tell us about what happened today?
I'm out at the scene. The information that I have is that this was an officer-involved use of force. As the Norfolk Police has done for many years, and following best practices and transparency, they have called the state police in to take over the scene and to do an investigation. And as the Chief Minister of Justice for Norfolk and the person who'd be ultimately responsible for judging whether any use of force was justified or not, I've come out here personally so that I can walk the scene and so that I can be familiar with it firsthand.
What's the process? You said you can walk us through the process. Can you walk us through it really quick about what's next?
Yes. So the Norfolk Police is a model throughout the state, as far as I'm concerned, in being transparent when it comes to officer-involved uses of force, sometimes called officer-involved shootings. When they are in a position where they have to use force, they secure the scene, as they've done here today, and then they call the Virginia State Police. Norfolk Police is more than capable technically to do this investigation. However, they choose voluntarily to call an independent agency to come and investigate, to gather the evidence, to speak to the eyewitnesses, to canvass if there's a canvass to do, and then to put together a complete report to submit to me for criminal review to determine whether the use of force is justified or not justified. That report takes some time, but the most important thing about it is that it is an independent agency with no dog in the fight. Coming in, they are experts. I've worked with the state police for years in different capacities, but especially in officer-involved shootings. And the public can have confidence that they have an independent set of law enforcement eyes on this, and that I, as an independent official, then make an independent judgment without fear or favor into whether the events here are justified or, heaven forbid, not.
You know, seems like we were just recently covering the other officer-involved shooting over in the Ward's Corner area. Can you speak to this happening? It seems like it was maybe a month or so ago, maybe 2 months ago. Can you talk about the frequency of these incidents, why it's important that you're here each time these occur?
Officers pretty much never get to choose the situations in which they find themselves. We were very fortunate not to have an officer-involved shooting at all during 2023. We've obviously had two now. There's no way to say that there's any kind of pattern. It is how circumstances unfold. And the same team that helped with the investigation in Ward's Corner, the same team from the state police, they are here again. And they will come out, and I will come out as often as is necessary. Obviously, we want to see no uses of force, whether it's by the police or by private citizens. But in the real world, dangerous things happen. People have to make decisions. And we will... it's really never an if, it's a when we wind up with an investigation like this. And as for me being out here personally, I think the public deserves that. They deserve to have their Chief Minister of Justice out here. And if I'm going to make a decision, one that's difficult, or if it's a close case, it is very important that I'm not relying on pictures and on paper, either to make a decision not to charge where there are questions, or if it is, heaven forbid, a decision to charge. Either way, that's a heavy call, and I want to be able to say, not just to the public but to myself, that I took the absolute closest look that I could in making that decision.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You have when an officer has justification or not. That's what you are investigating right now. What is the determination that you make based on that? Like, what criteria do they have to meet for it to be justified versus unjustified?
So, the standard for a police officer is the same as the standard as it is for a private citizen, which is that if you are going to use lethal force, the only time that you are allowed to use lethal force is if a reasonable person in your shoes, not Monday morning quarterbacking, but a reasonable person in your shoes in the moment, would think that you are going to be the subject of deadly force, or somebody near you is going to be the subject of deadly force. So the decision is, do I have to use deadly force to protect myself against force of equal seriousness? If the answer is yes, and the answer is correct, then there's no criminal charge, and the person has done exactly what the law allows them to do, which is to defend themselves or others from deadly force. If somebody chooses incorrectly, makes an incorrect decision, then again, whether a law enforcement officer or a private citizen, the standard is the same. Then we are looking at a potential crime. But I will tell you that in my time as Commonwealth's attorney, every set of facts is different. But as you know from the press conferences and the letters that I've released, the decisions that the Norfolk police have made have been in fact justified. But I am not here to speak at all about today's facts. I will keep an open mind, and I will review the final report from the state police and make my decisions and release my findings then.
Are you able to say whether, like, just based on what you've seen so far, whether it seems like more or less complex than with like most recent ones you've dealt with? Is it something that you think will be a difficult investigation at this point? Or just sort of what's ahead for you guys?
The rules for prosecutors say that we are really restricted in what we can tell to the public about facts. I can talk about process, I can talk about the law, but facts, I'm under restrictions, and the values behind that is to make sure that, first of all, I don't get anything wrong as a situation evolves, and so that we protect everybody's rights, and if necessary, and if it gets to that point, the rights of people to have a fair trial, whether on either side of an officer-involved shooting, whether the officers or the private citizens who are involved. So I'd be speculating. Anything I told you would be subject to change at a moment's notice.
Do you have any rough idea of how long this investigation would take? Normally, it's like I think like a year and a half. Last time we had a major sort of conclusion to one of these. Do you have a rough, just in case?
It depends. It takes the state police a number of months to put together an investigation like this. It is very important for it to be right rather than to be fast. And then it takes me some time to go through, because just as I think it's important for me to be here firsthand and to walk the scene, I think it is important for me, even if I have a decent idea of what the facts are, to review it completely, word for word. And that takes time. And then the time on my end to put together a presentation, to walk through the digital evidence, to explain how the facts and the law lock together. Some take longer, some take shorter, but and to be fair to the state police, they get called to every one of these officer-involved shootings in a number of our local cities. So between officer-involved use of force in other cities and the other work that they do in violent crime, drug enforcement, and the like, things take time.
Correct.
Thank you so much.
Sure, no problem.